After brushing it off for almost a year, I finally decided to make a review on this classic game. This is Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, originally a cult game before eventually growing in popularity over the last 10 years, causing Paradox Interactive to greenlight a sequel, which looked awful, went into development hell, got canned, then revived under a new developer who would go on to butcher it into a shitty action-adventure game with no RPG mechanics to be found, and playing nothing like Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 1. Oh well, that's just how it goes, I suppose.
What does the prince have his little bitch doing today?
But that's a sad story for another time. We're here to focus on the first game, the better game. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines is an action role-playing goth punk vampire game made on an early version of Valve's Source Engine and released around the same time as Half-Life 2, dooming it into obscurity for many years till the 2010s, thanks to the rise of social media, allowing fans to build a community and spreading the word that you should just bone Jeanette and side with the Anarchs. That this game is great and worth checking out.
1. You get careless, that blood will make you into a monster. But you rampage around here, you get put down.
So let's jump into the game already and talk about why you should totally play VTMB 1. Spoiler alert, I will be covering several parts of the game, but won't go too far into detail about the main story. But I will cover a few side quests that you may want to play for yourself, so just a heads up. Also, I will not be covering everything this game has to offer. I don't want to turn this into another 30-minute review like Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, and even then I didn't cover the entirety of that game.
You make it back from Santa Monica with your hide and we'll trade life stories, okay? Till then, I got about this much time. You in or out?
To start, one must create their character. Though it's vastly limited to just gender and clan, you cannot alter the appearance at all, as it's predetermined for each gender and vampire clan. You can either just pick yourself, or take a quiz to see what you are decided by the game. So pick whatever clan sounds the best for your style of gameplay. Each one comes with pros and cons, while two are not recommended for newcomers, being Nosferatu, who rely on sewers and be scolded by everyone around them and get instantly attacked by humans, or the Malkavians, who are mentally insane in the membrane.
Is it drugs? Something like that?
The clans are the Nosferatu, who are disfigured freaks straight off the original Dracula. The Bruja are literal anarchs turned undead. Gangrel, my personal favorite, who are in tune with the beast and nature, relying on their melee. Malkavians are ward patients gotten loose thanks to Ronald Reagan. Toreador are the liberal elites telling you how to live while not abiding by their own rules. Tremere are bloodbenders that utilize magic with their and others' blood. Venture are the last of the clan are the Camarilla cocksuckers. Enough said.
I think you better go. No one wants to talk about this right now.
Once you complete your character, it's time to get the good suck followed by the bad suck. Depending on which clan and gender you picked, you will get a different sire. That's right, you boned a vampire and fucked around and found out. Now enjoy steak and heart and watch your sex partner get the French special. Afterwards, you get saved by the Anarch leader, but not really a leader cause Anarch bullshit, and everyone else rises up and the prince decides not to execute you. Instead, you become his little bitch. From this point onwards, it's just petty fetch quests and nothing special, with certain parts being the absolute worst, like trying to stealth the cargo ship. Then there's the Warrens, which we will save for later. Just know the plot is your run-of-the-mill doomsday stuff with politics, betrayal, confusion, mystery, and tons of backtracking and sewer crawling. Thankfully, the game is saved by the characters and the writing, which we can cover a bit later. For now, let's move on to the combat.
Why'd you have to go and let that bitch out? There's one less Phil in the world now. Why'd you have to let her go and eat him, huh? Now I'll never get to do in that bastard myself. Well, you know what? No blood for you. No more!
Well, it's a 2004 game, so don't expect much, and boy howdy does the combat not hold up well. Dear lord, the shooting especially is a joke. Early game, you'll want to rely on melee with your claws and vampire powers, but later on the game does become a Call of Duty linear corridor shooter experience. So be sure to invest into guns and buying loads of ammo before you get to the warns onward.
It's all bullshit.
You'll be utilizing stealth kills, powers, guns, melee, and your claws to tackle different foes, from humans to other vampires to even werewolves, which you cannot hurt, but can thankfully crush. The melee is serviceable at best, nothing truly awful, akin to Half-Life or Resident Evil, but it does get old when enemies can stun lock you and keep putting you down from attacking. There's no blocking either, it's all RNG bullshit, so enjoy that. Your guns are nothing special, just standard revolver, pistol, shotgun, and SMG. The shooting feels on par with Half-Life, so be ready to deal with that. The powers vary depending on your clan, though some do share abilities. As a gangrel, I can send a wolf spirit to attack a single foe, or even turn into a beast to destroy enemies with ease. Now let's move on to the more juicy stuff, like choices and consequences. Unlike a Telltale or Bethesda game, you actually can have different outcomes in most quests, leading to different rewards and punishments, as well as various endings you can get in the game. So throughout the game you'll hear facts and lies about everything and have to decide for yourself what is real and who you should trust, if anyone at all. You could side with the Anarchs, Camarilla, Kuei Jin, side with Strauss, or tell everyone to get fucked. There's a cut ending for the Malkavians out there as well. Let's just say it's surely something. Another example of choices, as well as more backstory, you'll eventually run into a woman named Samantha, who was a friend of yours before you went off to commit necrophilia. She will try to get you help and you have a few ways to deal with her. You can intimidate her into leaving you alone, let her help you and get a masquerade violation with cops attacking you, or convince her she has the wrong person. Then there's the Vorman twins. Probably one of the most well-known moments from the game comes from these two, or should I say more? During the main story, you have to work for Jeanette the Slut and her stuck-up twin, Therese. Her backstory is quite tragic and helps explain why she is the way she is, or so it seems. Being a Malkavian, it's hard to decide what's true or not. I mean, the clan can have an argument with a stop sign, for Christ's sakes. But whoever you choose to help in the end leads to the same outcome for the main plot progression, but you can get some benefits if you choose a certain way.
Hurry up! I can only amuse myself for so long. Oh, well, it's a little different, but entirely possible. Come sit next to me on the bed. I'll show you. I see you.
So trusted you.
While I won't cover everything in this review, I do want to at least highlight a few quests you will encounter or may encounter during your playthrough. For the first being the Haunted Hotel, inspired by The Shining. You get everything here: husband going mad and killing wife and kids, burning down the hotel, becoming a vengeful spirit attacking you in all kinds of ways, from jump scares, throwing objects, explosions, steam pipes, fire, and even an elevator to crush you. The first time I played this back in the day, several years ago, I stopped playing the game right at this moment. It was just too much. I mean, I'm an undead vampire and have special abilities, but if the game can still make you feel vulnerable as a vampire, you know it's a great quest. During the main quest, you will run into a group on the beach who are all acting weird, which is normal for this game, but also because they're not human, nor are they true vampires. They're thin bloods. After being hunted and bullied by other vampires, they found themselves on the beach, with one asking for your help. The girl who turned the guy into a thin blood has gone missing. He wants you to help find her, so he can apologize and hopefully be together again, leading you on a wild goose chase around the town, eventually finding out the truth and just how twisted a lot of people in this game are. Nothing is what it seems.
You don't look well at all.
Oh, sweet mother of God!
A side quest you can easily miss involves a nightclub owner asking you to help her with the Russian mob. Turns out she decided to take out a loan in order to start the nightclub. She also has no money, so she sends you to get shot up by the Russians. Afterwards, you are sent to kill the leader, who used to bang her as a way to deal without any money. She refuses to have sex with him anymore and wants him dead, so you must do so. Afterwards, she gives you a few $100. The end. There's nothing great about this one, and it falls into the, oh, you gotta help her, she's the victim because she's a woman and doesn't need to face the consequences for her lack of responsibility type of shit. But there's just something about this nightclub I just can't help but enjoy. I wonder what it is.
Oh, well, I mean, you know, it is what it is, right?
After entering a random building, I was greeted by a deranged man, voiced by Gordy the janitor, who hated the weasel in Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. Turns out, there's no weasel this time, instead a monster. After navigating the awful level design and terrible physics, I got to the basement, where a flesh-eating vampire calling herself by a fake name Pisha exists. She demands I get Gordy so the weasel can finally win, but I decided I don't like her ways of vampirism and kill her. If I had sided with her, I'd get access to small stat boosting relics. Nothing special. There's another location you will have to visit during the main story. This is Grout's Mansion, a place full of madness by the leader of the Malkavian clan, or at least I thought it was. This place is awesome, with a great theme and tons of traps, loops, and dead ends. I got lost in the maze for a while that has a strange layout of doors on floors and walls and ceilings. It's actually quite nauseating at first. Honestly, I just kept getting lost and unsure if I ever found any secrets or the right way or not. Finding a room of self-moving mannequins or a crypt with sunlight beaming onto the handle. I'm just completely lost and also enjoying it. A side quest you can do for Damsel, the hot-headed redhead bitch you just want to donkey punch. I meant to say to help her prove you're not a cami. You can deal with a plague bearer going around spreading a deadly disease that affects both kindred and mortal, leading you to find a sewer with a Nosferatu boss fight before heading to a hotel room to lay with a whore who's carrying the disease, but instead of smashing her, you just smash the bitch into bits. eventually leading to a rundown apartment building that's condemned and being used by a cult, fighting hordes of zombies to get to the leader and stop the plague bearer once and for all.
You killed all of them? You.
The last quest I want to highlight is one you need for the main story. It involves a snuff film and the Baron of the Anarchs. Just like much of the late 90s and early 2000s, there was a lot of exploitative movies and TV shows, so it's right in the right timeline for being relevant at the time of this game's release. These days, we're heavily desensitized to much stuff, especially including adult content. But back then, things were still full of shock value. Anyway, you have to find a tape, watch it, wonder what it all means, go get the next part by going to a film studio where all kinds of smut is made, get attacked by monsters, and watch the full tape, realizing the location the Baron sends you to it to investigate why people disappear when watching this tape and the root cause of the monster's appearance. But of course, soon after this, you enter the Warrens with no warning, and it's downhill from here. More on the Warrens later.
Righteous.
First, we need to talk about the technical problems plaguing the game to this day. It's a game that was in development hell for years and was rushed out the door by Activision, who was tired of the developer's shit. After that, it was the fans who got together to make mods in the unofficial patch to fix it up. They attempted to restore cut content and add new stuff that felt right. If you plan on playing this game, and I hope you do, you will want to use the unofficial patch. Just note that you cannot have multiple mods at once, and some mods are built using older versions of the patch or not using it at all, leading to more problems. It's a mess, but hey, welcome to Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. No one ever said it was going to be easy, Cammy. Stealth sucks. There's no defending this. Even if you increase your skill, stealth will always be a joke. It's worse than anything Bethesda has done. You'll be spotted through walls and behind cover. You will be able to crouch walk around several goons and be fine. It's a gamble of whether it wants to work or doesn't. The only time it's mandated is in the tutorial with Jack, and a possible suggestion when visiting the cargo ship, so you can get to the sarcophagus, since there's dozens of police officers ready to turn you into Swiss cheese. But other than that, stealth is just an option for those who want it. Thank God too. I hate mandatory stealth missions in games. I'm looking at you, Far Cry 4.
I feel like that one was a direct attack at me, and I feel very offended.
Movement is a bit spotty, especially with platforming. Much like Half-Life, at times it feels like you're walking on ice, but also at times you need to platform. It can be challenged. Trying to jump crouch into pipes and vents isn't as easy and requires a lot of precision. I honestly got close to quitting the game during the Warrens because of the platforming and vent crawling, but also because it's the Warrens, for Christ's sakes.
You don't say. Wake up, boss. Who do you think you're dealing with?
The camera is a problem in small areas, especially when going through tunnels and air ducts, but also during combat since the game is third-person melee and first-person shooter. Not to mention the camera will show the outside of the map if you bite people near a wall or just in a small room. Animations wonk out during cutscenes, and the physics on clothes are very chaotic. It feels at times like a Bethesda game with some of its jank. Even the facial animations can bug out and eyes can go all over the place. But it doesn't really ruin anything, it's just something you'll notice during the game.
Oh, what is this shit? Oh, what is this shit?
I'll never forget this night.
Now, let's talk about the Warrens. I know, for the veterans of this game out there, this is triggering your PTSD. As for the new bloods out there wondering what the big deal is, just sit back and relax. By the end, you'll feel like a Malkavian when you play through the horrors of the Warrens, a large maze of sewers involving hidden paths, traps, instant deaths, bosses, little gremlins, and copy and pasted corridors of pure madness. You start out crawling through a pipe and opening a sewer grate before moving on to more gremlins and pipe crawling. Just copy and pasted level design and enemies everywhere, getting you easily lost in the madness. Now you know why Grout's test subjects went mad in his mansion. He sent them to the Warrens. You will just get lost and find yourself dealing with slow swimming, bad cameras, and tons of "wait, didn't I just come from this direction?" as well as the classic "how the fuck do I progress" trope. It's just pure agony, as I just gave up on playing legit and spammed console commands to no-clip everywhere, to only find myself even more lost. The Warrens, everybody! But it gets worse as you face a boss who becomes a normal enemy soon after, then wondering, where do you go? It's a leap of faith as you can barely see a vent hidden by water that you must destroy and jump crouch into. I want to add, unlike Half-Life and Counter-Strike, the jump crouch mechanic in VTMB is not good. You will struggle, and it can lead to a final death non-stop. Even with the no clipping, I still got lost forever, eventually leading me through more sewers and copy and pasted hallways with the same 3 enemies around every corner, to finally getting to a part with platforming to get through some more pipes, and finally at the lair of the Nosferatu to progress the plot. This took me over an hour. Over 1 hour of sewers in a motherfucking video game. Bullshit.
You don't say.
As for the music, damn, did they do a good job with the variety on hand. From creepy horror tunes to rock and nightclub music, you got a lot here. And while I can't play much of it for copyright reasons, YouTube is getting worse with that stuff. So much so, even 1 second of copyrighted audio is blockable worldwide nowadays, basically. But you got the main theme. Let Your Bitch, Disturbed and Twisted, Bloodlines, Kane, Pound, Isolated, and more. So many great tunes, and I cannot stress this enough. Go listen to the soundtrack on YouTube. It is full of so many bangers. At the end of the day, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines is a game well worth checking out. It has its faults like technical problems, mid-combat, predictable story and whatnot, but its writing, characters, music, atmosphere, and replay value just hold it up so well after 20 freaking years. Just remember, use the unofficial patch when you play it, then get lost into the world with tons to do.
Real terror is not the sight of death. It is the fear of death. What is the fear of death? Terror of the unknown.
In fact, I'd even cover over half the stuff in the game. I mean, it would be a 2-hour-long video at that point. Plus, I want you to find the stuff yourself. I didn't get my own personal ghoul play thing. I didn't help the Nosferatu out with their problems. I didn't fight the zombies in the cemetery. I didn't help with the gargoyle problem, and oh so much more. There's just so much content, it's baffling this was made in 2004 on the same engine as Half-Life 2. VTMB is still a great game, well worth playing. Anyways, that's it for this video. See you all later.
Listen, kid, you did what you had to do. Just a messenger, right?
Of the moon and star, come to me through fire and war.